Hello and welcome to The Studio Demands It, an exercise in creative thinking where we will conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film or series based on the demands or stipulations from one of you listeners acting as a hypothetical Hollywood overlord.
Overlord.
As professional screenwriters ourselves and massive cinephiles, we talk movies all the time.
All the time.
And we'd like to believe that we could meet any demand thrown at us. We will be your screenwriters for this episode. I am TC DeWitt, and joining me, as always, is Jim. Insert a genre checklist Berzelik.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hello, Jim. Insert a genre checklist here. There we go.
Checklist. That's the first trope. Check
That's-
that. Check the checklist
Got
off
it.
the checklist.
I make lists. I
Yeah.
love making lists. And usually the first thing on the list is something I've already done. So
Yeah.
I get to start the list by crossing something off.
Years ago, I saw that as a suggestion for people who have a hard time getting things done.
Be productive.
Make a list, and then when you do that, do this. Like break it down into easy things. Even like sneak some in there that you've already done. Like that'll get you motivated to do more.
Mm-hmm.
That never ever worked for me. I've tried numbers of times, and there are a number of times. Oh, actually, I was going to say there's a number of times where that's the only thing I've checked off. There are times where that's not even, like, I don't even get to check that off because I didn't complete the list.
Oh man, it's like 1, make list, got it. No, 2, finish.
I
Didn't
gotta
even
go do this
finish
other things.
the-
Yeah, it didn't even finish the second entry.
You know, I haven't looked at my Hellboy comics in a while. I'm just gonna go over here for a moment. Jim,
Yep.
come back here. Focus.
Yeah. Oh, too real. Too real.
Sorry, I'm cutting real deep here. We were discussing earlier the tropes of genres and
Yes.
how, like, they exist for a reason. That's how you determine a genre, and that's why when stuff is cross-genre, you can be like, oh, well, it has a lot of these horror elements, but also has a lot of these comedy elements, and therefore it's a comedy horror. And it's fine to exist with those tropes, to have a movie that checks the list.
Sure.
What elevates those movies is when you check off that list and then find unique ways to do those things.
Sure. Taking them and being fresh with them. Not letting tropes become cliches.
Yeah. Like we were talking about heist movies in particular, and I recently watched a heist movie. I won't disparage it by saying the name of it, but it is just checking every box to the point of it's so derivative and so predictable and cliche that I'm like, there's no surprises here.
Sure.
Like I could tell you everything that's going to happen in the movie like moments before it happened because they were just paint by numbers. It felt like AI wrote it. Like, write me a heist movie. Boom, go. And then, yeah. And it's a shame because heist movies are fun. Like,
They can be.
they can be. You can have your Ocean's 11, you can have your Hell or High Water. I know that's more of a bank robbery movie, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That I don't know if we want to do that now. What would you say the difference between a bank robbery movie and a heist movie is? Because they are different checklists.
You are right. Would like bank heist movies or bank robbery movies are specifically stealing money from a vault, and then heist movies would be art or a car
or a vault.
or a vault, but not.
Ocean's 11 was from a vault.
You're right. Stealing money from, but it's not a bank.
It's not a bank.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
That's the
if
difference.
there's a bank,
if
or
they
not.
rob from a bank, Dog Day Afternoon, bank robbery movie. There you go. Bandits, bank robbery movie.
I hate that. That's the only difference.
That's it. That's the only difference. It's. But you're right. The checklist is just, there's just one extra thing on this list. What are you making here? Let's see. Well, a group of friends get together. They all have a particular set of skills. They're breaking into a location to steal something. Okay, great. There's a lot of con activity, some sleight of hand. Great. Yeah. Okay. It looks like you got yourself a heist movie, man.
All right.
Wait.
Yeah.
No. I see. There's one more thing. Oh, they're going into a bank vault. It's a bank heist movie.
Oh,
Yes.
it's a bank heist movie.
It's a bank robbery movie.
Bank robbery movie.
Hey, the checklists don't lie, man.
I'm gonna think about this for too long now.
I can see you get this glazed over look.
Yeah.
And then I have to sit here and
I look over into the third quarter of the room.
just looking at my scarf in the mirror on the wall.
Yep.
Jim, come back to me.
Ah.
You were talking about robbing a bank.
I was.
Yes.
So I got this plan.
Mm-hmm. This sounds like a heist.
No, but there's a bank involved.
Oh, it's a bank robbery. It's interesting, like the clarifications on some genre stuff where you'd be like, oh, it's a horror movie. Okay, well, is it a horror movie? Is it a slasher movie? Is it a thriller? Like, how much blood is involved? Is it a ghost story? Like, all the subgenres that come off of things.
So I guess bank robbery movies would be a subgenre of heist movies.
Sure, yeah.
And I think the big difference is a heist movie is really more, it's almost more about the Rube Goldberg setup of the heist.
Yes.
Whereas bank robbery movies, there's much less heist. It's more about, right, very often someone's handling the people in the bank, someone else is moving the tellers over here.
Heat, yeah.
Yeah, and it's
the town.
It's about managing the bank and then the getaway.
You're right. Yeah, now you're actually creating a bigger distinction between the two. Then, you
right. So, Baby Driver isn't a heist movie. It's a bank robbery movie that focuses on and plays around with the getaway portion primarily of the bank robberies.
Yeah. You had suggested something. Is it essential to have the switcheroo in a heist movie? I
did ask that, and I don't think we came to a conclusion, did we?
It's an interesting question because I couldn't think of an example to the alternative.
Sure, that didn't have one.
Yeah,
they were all bank robbery movies.
Like the
and even a bunch of those have switcheroos.
But yeah, like Ocean's 11, Confidence, Logan Lucky, like all these movies. I think Logan Lucky's.
What was the Rainbow TV show on Netflix?
Kaleidoscope.
The butterfly rainbow. Yeah, Kaleidoscope. Yeah.
Having the twist, having the surprise, we were actually doing this the whole time.
And right, and now we're talking about tropes, and then I'm immediately reminded of the Rick and Morty episode where Rick hates
heist movies, yeah, because it's always the same thing. The audience is expecting it, right? It's like there's subverting expectations, and then there's disappointing.
Sure. Ultimately, I guess the root of my question is, how integral is the switcheroo to a heist? Is it one of the tropes you can do without, or is it necessary?
We actually wrote a heist movie with our Gambit movie. He has to break in to steal Cerebro, and we didn't create a twist. We don't.
There's no switch. There's no switcheroo in our pitch.
Right.
That doesn't mean that if we sat down to write out the full script, we probably would put a switcheroo in there.
Well,
they're mutants. Some mutant is going to have the ability to move a thing here or there, or trick someone.
Our deception to our main character and our audience is the reason he's doing it. That it ends up being like, oh, I've been working for the bad guys all along. Oops.
Yeah.
And that you can kind of see coming. Like, it wasn't so much that we buried the truth. It was just sort of, hey, I'm just doing this for the money and the job. The job doesn't mean anything to me, and then it becomes personal, and then Gambit's like, wait, I don't want to be that bad of a guy.
Yeah.
So, there's something there.
Looking around your room, was Solo a heist movie?
They do rob a train.
That's a bank robbery. It's a train robbery.
Train robbery. It's a subgenre.
Which is a subgenre of the bank robbery. But even those,
it's a bank robbery movie because there's a whole getaway. They steal the coaxium, and then have to blast through the. It's all about the getaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's less about. There's a little bit of sneaking in, wearing the costumes, getting into, and then busting themselves out and escaping. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I think I would consider it more of a bank robbery movie as a heist.
Okay.
Huh. Or we're splitting hairs. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we kind of are. It's more us sitting here trying to parse these very similar genres. I hope it's. I hope people are yelling at us and not. Well, I hope they're yelling ideas for what they think the differences are, and not get on with the show.
Well, we will let's get on with the show. You are
Okay.
fair. So we might even come back to discussing
Yes,
this.
we will.
Bringing up Gambit actually moves us closer to what we're doing for today.
Oh, you were already
That's
segueing
right.
there.
Yeah, Jim,
Oh, okay.
our amazing listeners have given us demands from studios all over the world, and you listening right now, you can send us any demand you'd like, and we will have to meet it right here on the spot. We will even read it fully for the first time live on the air. And when we reach the end of the episode, if we've done our jobs, we will have pitched a full script and story, meeting or even exceeding your demands. And when the end of the season comes, your demand could have helped us craft a script that will be greenlit by the fans for our finale. So thank you for everyone who keeps submitting. Please keep them coming. We love it. So let's get into today's demand. This comes from AA Friction from Kinetic Energy Pictures. Guys, typo. Sorry, dude. Guys, it is so obvious what the studio demanded. This episode writes itself, except you now have to write something.
We will now read the episode that has been written.
With Morbius, Venom, Venom 2, Kraven, and now Madam Web, Sony clearly demanded a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man. Why are these movies so damningly mediocre? Good word, damningly mediocre. Sony has come to me, and now I have come to you. Pitch a Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse movie, not Miles Morales, no Spider-Man, and literally just do better than what we've got. If it's a Madam Web movie, that's up to you. But shit, if Venom 1 is the peak, and you two already capitalized on that, thank you for acknowledging
Very
that,
much.
then the bar is set very, very low. Have at it, boys.
Okay. So now we're going to talk for 2-ish hours about a Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movie. Basically, you want us to make Garfield without Garfield the Spider-Man movie. It's basically just a movie about
everyone
Aunt
else
May going crazy.
Hey, the Sony leak 10 years ago had them lining up an Aunt May movie.
What?
Do you not remember this?
No, I don't.
There was a Sony leak. This was...
the leak where like all the bad mouthing and stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know about the Aunt May.
Yeah, there was
movie.
a list of projects that were in development or in consideration. And to be fair, someone is throwing everything out there.
Sure.
The fact that an Aunt May movie was even being considered is not the most insane thing in the world.
It's up there.
It's up there, sure. But Sony having some sort of situation where they can't use Spider-Man unless Marvel's involved. Then someone has to sit in a room like list every character we got and pitch me ideas for all of them. In the comics, Peter's parents are spies for S.H.I.E.L.D. Aunt May and them could have been working for S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm not.
God, no! I'm seeing it.
No, Jim, your wheels are turning.
It's a Marvel version of
Iron Man. Is that the one you're thinking of?
No, I'm thinking of Batman's Butler, the TV show.
Oh my God,
on HBO.
Pennyworth.
Yes.
Please say the full title.
Batman's Butler, Pennyworth.
That's almost as good. That show was called
Alfred. That was his name.
It was Pennyworth: The Origin of Batman's Butler.
I didn't know that.
That was the name of the show.
That was.
That for the last season of the show, they literally changed the name of the show from Pennyworth to Pennyworth: The Origin of
God.
Batman's Butler.
You know why? You know why?
No one was watching it.
Because they had to. Yeah, because people didn't know what it was. No one wanted to bother
Pennyworth.
turning it on.
Is Pennyworth
I don't care. I don't care about pennies.
It's
so I'm not going to turn this on.
That Penny Dreadful show. Is that still on the air?
Oh,
No.
must be. This must be a spin-off of it.
Yeah. So, yes, the Aunt May.
I guess Penny becomes a good guy in this one.
Yeah.
From Penny Dreadful to Pennyworth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh.
I hate people. By people, I mean that guy I just made up and gave voice to.
So the demand is to... Okay, he's right. AA, sorry, I don't mean to...
AA Friction.
Yeah, I don't mean to pronoun you as male. AA is correct. Sony has been making these Spider-Man-less movies. There's clearly an edict that says keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like I don't know what the rhyme or reason behind this is. It could be an easy Google search to be like, why doesn't Sony just make a goddamn Spider-Man movie?
I think it's an attempt at the Marvel formula, at the Marvel method. Marvel started Iron Man, cool.
Start with the bottom.
Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Thor,
Yeah.
and they started doing it. We all like there was talk. There was like, oh, where's this going? This is moving toward an Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, they did the rights were spread around. They didn't have the rights to do it. Everyone knew what a feat this was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But they started without knowing that they could actually cross that finish line.
Yeah.
I think Sony's doing something similar. Not because they're hoping to build up that sort of like, oh my God, are they going to do it? Are we going to get the reveal? I think there's probably some people there that are hoping and trying to build some sort of buzz that way.
That this
but I think it's
culminates,
more,
yeah.
oh, we're going to put out these movies and people are going to like them so much that enough goodwill is going to be fostered that they're going to be like, okay, yeah, do a Spider-Man to bring it all together. Your own Avengers called Spider-Man, in which all of these ancillary characters that you've done full movies for get
Can
to
come
all
together.
show up,
Yeah.
and Spider-Man will beat them all up, I guess.
But that's part of the problem. Every one of these movies is introducing us to a hero. So, and that's, I mean, following your method, introduce all the Avengers as heroes and then put them all against one threat.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what they're doing, right? And
I would have thought what I know about Madam Web, I would have thought that the not Spider-Man guy in there would have been your bad guy Spider-Man to do that with.
It appears to be Ezekiel from the J.
Yeah.
J. Michael Straczynski run of the mid 2000s, which led to the other storyline of Spider-Man having the organic webs and being a totem of that the spider chose him as opposed to just being randomly bit.
By the way, there's big parts of that story that I really dig.
Oh,
I like the idea of the totem
Yeah,
spider. That I don't know if they did that well, but I like the idea.
That JMS run of the Amazing Spider-Man, especially John Romita Jr. doing the artwork for it, is very, very good. But similar to other meddling of the higher ups, you can see when I'll blame Quesada came in and said, "You got to do this. I'm in the middle of a thing. Well, stop what you're doing and do this." Fine, okay, I'll do Civil War. Like, JMS was clearly writing to a certain point and then kept getting derailed to do like the crossover stuff like that. When he's on point for the story that he was trying to tell, that Ezekiel line and the Spider Wasp is really cool. Like, there's some Mordred, I think, is the other villain that shows up and is like, "I'm here to suck the soul out of the spider totem." Like, there's some cool stuff in there.
I'm realizing where I would end up going, and I could see people rolling their eyes and hating it. Because I like I do enjoy archetypes, and I look at a lot of Marvel characters as archetypes. So I use that as a lot of guidance for stories. I probably talked a bunch about this in the Gambit episode as well. But like when they go off of archetypes, I hate it. Right. So the biggest example to me, especially of when they go off the rails with this character the most, is Cyclops. Cyclops is a myopic Boy Scout leader, right?
Yes,
like
yes.
he's all about the fight, and he knows how to lead into battle,
Strategy.
and he is
Tactician.
and he is focused to the point of having blinders because he doesn't have peripheral vision because he is a Cyclops.
It's literally looking straight forward.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
And so many stories are like, oh, but what if Cyclops was actually like really good in this other way? Or what if Cyclops was just, a philanderer and
He had
slept
trouble
with all
juggling
the
his
women
personal
and
life.
is a jerk. It's like, that has nothing, like, stop stepping away from the and ultimately that ends up being my problem with the X-Men comic. So and that's my problem. It's fine that the comic is a soap opera, so they're always gonna soap opera gonna soap.
Soap gonna soap.
So that's on me for that. But the totems, the spider totems, play right into this idea of archetypes. So I would end up doing something stupid like, yeah, and we tap into this whole like astral plane of archetypes and totems. So like Doc Ock is actually like connected to the avatar of the octopus. And there'd be this whole spiritual animal kingdom that all of these characters are. And the thing is, that's cool for like a moment or two, but then there becomes a point where it's just like, you're
to
just,
what end?
Yeah, like
Well-
so now a bear man shows up and
He's gonna-
Wolfman and
Well, it is suggested in the totem story
yeah.
does suggest, like Ezekiel posits it to Peter. Why do you think so many of your villains are animal themed? There might be something to that,
sure.
but they don't.
But then,
lean-
like,
yeah.
also having the spider wasp, and like, oh, the spider wasp spiritually is a spider wasp, so hunts the spiritual spider. That means out there somewhere is a hornet man, and when the
Yeah.
or the wasp man,
Look, Stan Lee did a lot
or
of-
person or character, and when they go and they attack. The building where the bee people live, the bees all swarm them and use weird heat power. Like,
Jim.
But it's spiritual, and it's like that's where it starts getting lame.
You're describing decades of DC Comics.
That's actually what I'm. Okay, I'm going to go there now too.
Here we go.
We're going. You pulled me right over into DC. For me, it's the same thing. Is the lanterns. There's a part of the lanterns I like that there's all these different lanterns and they all have different colors. And if they all came from the same lantern that was shooting off light of all the different colors of the spectrum, and there were different different lantern cores for each band on the spectrum of light, and that's what it all sort of culminated to.
Yeah.
That would be super awesome. But everything I'm told, you're probably about to tell me, oh, that is how it is. But I'm going to ignore that for now. Everything I've been
I'll
told
look over
up
here.
to right now is that that's not how it is. And I think that's stupid.
It's close. There are lanterns of various colors that have various abilities that are all pretty much the same. It's basically all the rings basically do all the same thing. It's just why the person is chosen. So
how they're activated, basically.
Yeah. And so like red, green, yellow, blue, indigo, white, black. There are lanterns of every type of color.
Sure.
They didn't, however, all come from a singular source, which is so we're off.
That's the important part to Jim.
We're off the reservation right now. If the suggestion here is, and I the fact that you've evoked talking about archetypes and that could be something we can lean into here, but if the notion here, the demand is to come up with a Spider-Man-less movie, we can look at. We don't need to touch Venom. Venom has been done. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to sit here and pitch a new Venom movie. I don't want to do that.
Interesting to note, Venom. I forget if it was 1 or 2. I thought it was one of the Venom movies. They reference Spider-Man being in New York. Like there's graffiti on the walls.
So the Morbius trailer had...
Oh, it's the Morbius. Okay,
but
that's what it was.
At the end of Venom 2, he crossed over to the MCU.
Well, not counting the MCU Spider-Man.
Okay.
In that Sony verse, Morbius, I guess, is the movie that did it. Says there is a Spider-Man.
That was only in the trailer.
We just never see him.
That was only in the trailer.
I thought that was in the movie.
It got out of the movie. But go listen to our Amazing Spider-Man 3. We nailed it.
Another trailer using cut footage.
Well, it was a way to sell the movie. Because freaking Vulture shows up and suggests we got to get this guy.
Yeah, we got to get this guy. So here's a
quantity.
He exists. So that means we need to make a Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movie in a world that has Spider-Man, but we never show him.
So there's an episode of Angel where Angel and Spike are trying to find Buffy in like London or something, and the whole episode is them trying to find her, and they keep just missing her or just see the back, like her ponytail as she runs away.
Okay.
Because Sarah Michelle Gellar wasn't there, and
yep.
It's a very silly episode because they're just always one step behind her, and it's like, well, clearly they couldn't get SMG in here to play Buffy, so they just contrived this reason why she's always just leaving the room.
Sure.
So you're saying it's a Spider-Man-less that he never is on screen, but we can write a movie where he exists in this world. I agree.
Yeah.
We can do that. Who is our character? Do we want to do Madam Web?
I don't know. I don't know enough about Madam Web.
Madam Web has gone through several incarnations.
Mm-hmm.
The one I'm most familiar with came from the 90s cartoon where she's this old lady who sits on a throne in the multiverse as sort of an observer, an Uatu the Watcher in a sense, and she recruits Peter Parker to then have a Spider-Verse fight. Seriously, folks, you might not remember this. The finale episodes of that 90s Spider-Man is Into the Spider-Verse.
Huh.
There are multiple Peter Parker Spider-Mans of multiple iterations
All
who
pointing
all
at each
team
other?
up under Madam Web's. They all point at each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Madam Web brings them all together to save the multiverse.
Huh.
So my firmest knowledge of her is just that old lady sitting there and like, Peter Parker, you are destined for great things.
Oh.
But as I'm to understand, there have been other iterations of her, including Jessica Drew, the original Spider-Woman, became Madam Web
Okay.
in the comics.
From what I've seen, I know we don't need to reference the Madam Web movie that is coming out / just came out / came out.
Yeah.
Depending on when you're listening to this.
What time frame? What timeline are we in?
But like I did see a trailer. Apparently, all of those Spider Women are in there as well.
Yeah. Sydney Sweeney and a couple of the others, like they all have spider powers.
Which is odd to me. Well, maybe it's not odd because they wanted to establish those characters. I would not have put them there. Well, no, because I think for their Avengers, they're banking on once they get there, they're gonna have the goodwill at Sony to pay the money needed to finally get Spider-Man into, even though they have the rights to it, to put Spider-Man in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But without that, I would have set it all up and just used Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
Like even allude to like oh, the Sinister Six is doing their thing and she shows up and they're like, who are you? You're not Spider-Man.
Punch,
and
punch,
she's
punch.
like, that's fine. I don't need to be.
Yeah.
And she takes them all out.
So
then we end up just following Spider-Woman in that movie.
Do you want to pitch a Spider-Woman?
The only reason I don't is because I don't know enough about any of the incarnations. Because there's three different Spider-Women.
3 different Spider-Women.
Not counting Spider-Gwen.
Okay, so how many Spider-Women are there? Surely you could rack your brain and just be like, oh, there are this many. Go, I'm going to challenge you. Go. How many Spider-Women are there?
Okay, there are all variations.
Yes.
There are 15. I got more.
There's
I got
no
more
way
information.
I would have guessed 15.
Now, and there's some overlap here because sometimes they started as one and they became the other.
Okay.
There are 9 Spider Girls.
Okay. I mean, I could. Okay, so Mayday Parker, I know.
There's then one Silk and one Spider.
Silk, I would have got, and then Spider, and then
SP//D.
Okay.
ER.
And I definitely had like a Mandela effect moment, Berenstain Bears moment, where the first time I saw Ghost Spider, I was like, "What? No, not. It's just Ghost. Like Ghost Spider is Spider Gwen's name." I'm like, I did not know that was her name. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it's always been her name.
So there's plenty. If we want to go this route, so I guess let me ask what your take on making a Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movie is.
Okay.
Does that just mean do what they've been doing and make another sort of related, like take another villain, make another movie, take a related hero, make a related movie?
Here's where I'm at.
Actually, like try to do a weird Garfield without Garfield thing.
No. Here's the trouble, and our demander here, our studio said the thing out loud. Why are these such mediocre movies?
Mm-hmm.
But there's some talent behind all of these.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange that there's something missing, and I think one of the elements missing is the name recognition goes a long way. Venom did the best because Venom is the most recognizable name of the characters they've pitched at us so far.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the nerd sphere. We know all these characters.
Yeah.
We see Kraven, we immediately know who Kraven is.
Yeah.
But the general public, Venom is one of those characters that has been around and is associated enough with Spider-Man, has seen live action before.
Was in a Spider-Man
There's
movie,
recognition. Yeah. So what I think a Spider-Man-less movie needs to be is that, sure, kudos to them for taking wild shots at Morbius and Kraven and Madam Web. Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
There is an element of appealing to an audience's knowledge. So why aren't they doing a Gwen Stacy Ghost Spider movie? There is no Spider-Man in her universe. She is Spider-Man. Okay? So
Sure.
and the reason Into the Spider-Verse succeeded in a lot of ways is they were like, hey, we got Spider-Man, but we got Miles Morales. We're going to introduce you to a new guy. So we went down the path of Spider-Woman, and you even pitched like, hey, Spider-Man's not here. I showed up. Deal with it. You're already playing in an arena that I think would work.
Okay.
To have a female Spider-Man movie,
Mm-hmm.
you've already intrigued people. Instead of Morbius the vampire and who's Madam Web, like,
Mm-hmm.
no, if a female Spider-Man hit the screen, you're already tickling the mainstream audience that, like, oh, well, it's a Spider-Man, but it's a girl. Like the Gwen
Yeah.
Stacy's.
Yeah.
That's sort of my thought about this whole attempt that Sony has made for their Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
Spunk.
Spunk. Is that why these characters?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I think it's because they all point at Spider-Man, and I
But
I sincerely think it's the Avengers plan. They are trying to do that.
I think that's great, but why these characters? You've listed ones right here. Silk, Miles Morales is
No, well, the reason those are all heroes. They
Yeah.
want to do all the characters that are going to.
fight Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You want Sinister Six it?
Yeah.
I think that's a mistake
I don't
because they're not
disagree.
introducing these people as heroes. They're introducing them as villains. Or no, sorry,
reverse,
They're
yeah.
reverse. They're not. These are famously bad guy characters. Venom and Kraven are two of Spider-Man's greatest villainous rivals of all time, right up there with Doc Ock and Green Goblin. I'd put Kraven and Venom in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So to present them as heroes is really misguided. So just introduce us to heroes.
Yeah, even at the end of Morbius, I don't understand why he decided to team up with Vulture to get Spider-Man.
Yeah, why?
Also, I don't understand why Vulture wants to get Spider-Man. Like, he was that kid in the other universe that put me in prison.
We should get this guy.
Let's get him here.
So
Like,
yeah. So that's why if a Spider-Man-less movie is supposed to do what we are assuming Sony is demanding, then and it looks like they're trying to do this with Madam Web, but just do a Spider-Woman movie for Christ's sake. Who's seen Madam Web and going, ooh, yeah.
that very specific reaction.
That is my perception of a Spider-Man-less movie.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can't use Peter Parker or Miles Morales,
Sure.
then why?
To answer your question, the reason why I think they're not doing Miles Morales or Spider-Gwen is because Into the Spider-Verse did them. So now if they try to go and do those in live action, not only did they miss the opportunity to introduce these characters in live action, they're immediately going to be compared to that, and it's just, like they're basically going to be cannibalizing their own thing.
Okay, unless they cast the voice actors to play the parts.
So that's a fun trick. I think it's only us nerdy wonks that like things like that. I don't think general going audiences care.
No, you're right. Ashley Eckstein is a beautiful, wonderful Ahsoka and could have played the live action well, but Rosario Dawson's the bigger name recognition and so on and so forth. What is your perception of a Spider-Man-less movie? Is it Spider-Woman? Is it where I'm pushing you?
I think
Shoving you around?
that's the path of least resistance. I like the challenge of trying to make some weird thing work. So like, an idea occurred to me. We'd end up making up a new character essentially, or maybe you would know a character that could fill this role.
Danger zone here. Okay.
Or maybe Madam Web would be the one to do it.
Go ahead.
The idea being, it's revealed at some point in this movie that in this universe there actually is no Spider-Man.
Okay.
He is missing from this universe. But Spider-Man keeps showing up. How? Why? It's because, not based off of the little you've now told me about Madam Web, she keeps pulling Spider-Men from other universes, from other worlds, to this one to solve individual crimes, and then they go home.
So Spider-Man doesn't exist here. Okay. Huh. So then.
So he's essentially a fictional amalgamation of many different Spider-Men who show up that Madam Web has just like, you solve this crime, and then they
Now
go
go
home.
away.
And you solve this, and that's why he keeps looking different. It's why no one can ever
Having
corner him.
It's the Charlie from Always Sunny on the board.
Oh,
with
kind
the
of.
red
Yeah,
outfit.
the
I'm telling you,
Pepe Sylvia.
Spider-Man doesn't even exist.
Yeah,
There's more than one.
yeah. That's the idea of how to how and why does this world know of Spider-Man if Spider-Man's not even in it?
Right. That is you are.
It's a wacky, difficult demand to do, and it's probably not the direction we should go. I kind of like the idea of doing Spider-Girl, making it a younger woman, and actually kind of cribbing at least a lot of enthusiasm and attitude from Miss Marvel, and make a young girl who I don't know what all the different Spider-Girl powers are, but someone who ends up in a similar situation and sees news footage and coverage of Spider-Man and says, I want to do that too. The way Miss Marvel looks up to Captain Marvel, this Spider-Girl is like, I'm going to go do Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, if it's... Now, I like where you're going down here, because essentially if you start a movie with the fun of an enthusiastic young hero and then developing the power and responsibility situation where it's like, no, this is a bigger, more serious world than you realize. So starting out with fun and like building, that's essentially what the Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man did, like what the core of Spider-Man should always be. But my question is, do you want like Spider-Girl, like the most?
But I don't know which one would fit that
Mayday
bill.
Parker is the most famous of the Spider-Girls,
but she very much knows Peter Parker.
Peter's her dad. Yeah. That's not to say there haven't been other. Because there's also May Parker, I believe, is a different Spider-Girl than Mayday Parker.
Let's see here. Mayday Parker. April Parker, calling herself Mayhem. Mayday's clone, April, goes by Spider-Girl, the two sharing the mantle.
They had a clone saga, too.
Anya Corazon, a Latina superhero who originally called herself Aranya, meaning spider, and occasionally goes by Spider-Girl. That is it, as far as information on Wikipedia for that character. So we could do, according to Wikipedia, this character has nothing, is a blank slate, and we could put anything.
All right, so now you're...
Gwen Warren, the mutant daughter of Scott Summers, Cyclops. As mentioned earlier.
Whoa.
Gwen Stacy and Anna Soria. Grown by the Jackal using technology stolen from Mr. Sinister, the newborn Spider-Girl battles the superior Spider-Man Otto Octavius and the X-Men in the form of a 30-foot human-spider hybrid, resembling a giant garden spider with human eyes able to shoot eye beams before being returned to a normal size with sentience to the physical size of a 12-year-old humanoid girl.
Comics are weird!
Wow.
Anya. Okay, so you referenced Anya Corazon. She goes by Spider. Taking the Miss Marvel method of someone who is just entranced by the superhero world and wants to be a superhero herself, do you want to suggest that she is actually like fangirling for Spider-Man? Because we can't have Spider-Man in our movie. Or is she just someone who chooses the Spider-Mantle regardless of...
So I feel like the unsaid part of the demand here, because it did come from Sony, is to make this work with all the other things they have released and are releasing.
See, now we're coming in at a disadvantage because we have not, are going to see Madam Web.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, well then let's strip it down to its parts and just look at, before trying to insert it into the universe at large, let's work with what we got. So we're pre-Madam Web here. Okay. So we have a universe where Venom has run around San Francisco, Morbius has been running around New York. There's a Vulture who appeared in prison and escaped and somehow got tech to make a new suit. Carnage happened, and yeah, that's it. So we at least have those small elements to play with. Do we have a young hero who is bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, excited, wants to get out there, a teenager who becomes a superhero, like bit by? Do we want to just? How did she get her powers? Is she bit just like Spider-Man?
Don't know.
We know very little here.
We do know very little. I like the idea of like actually adapting, but I don't know like anything about this Anya Corazon.
Anya Corazon.
Interneting on
That's right.
the radio.
So Anya Sofia Corazon is okay.
Oh, she's in Madam Web apparently.
Oh, she's in Madam Web. So we've already picked someone who's gonna be in the movie. So yeah, okay. Yeah. Then that was my thought anyway, because Sydney Sweetie's wearing the the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman outfit. She's got the black and white outfit on in the trailer. So, okay, Jim.
Oh,
we need a rally here. Go ahead.
I don't know if she. I don't think she has been in comics. She is a screen character only. Anya Corazon / Spider-Girl appeared as a main character in the animated television series Spider-Man 17 to 20. Not years, not ages.
Yeah.
Voiced by Melanie Minicino, with versions of her making her cinematic debut in the animated feature film Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Got it.
As members of Miguel O'Hare's
Spider Society.
Spider Society,
Yeah.
while Isabella Merced will portray the character in the live action. So, she's a brand new character.
Well, no. So she was created
publication
by
history.
Quesada, right?
Yeah, no, here it is.
Yeah.
Missed that. I just needed to open the next section.
Okay.
Created by Joe Quesada, writer.
Yeah, she was part of the Marvel Next series
Yeah,
when they
okay,
did like,
2004.
which is funny because we were just suggesting a youthful character who is excitedly made like Ms. Marvel becomes a hero.
After her first appearance, the character next appeared in the Miss Marvel title.
There we go.
As a recruit for service as a licensed superhero under the Superhuman Registration Act.
Okay, so they're already using this character.
Yeah.
Okay, let's walk away. Let's
So
walk
not
away.
this character.
I'm going to set
Okay.
this aside for a second. I want to pitch something else.
All right.
Okay. If Sony has been giving us Morbius and Kraven's coming and Venom, of course, and people hypothesize like, oh, they're leading up to a Sinister Six. If that were the case, they would be introducing these guys as villains. So, why don't we? Could we go in that direction? Can we do a villain movie? Can we do a movie about a main character who is a bad guy that we then want to see Spider-Man punch in the face? But can you? Because you can
A bad guy protagonist?
Yeah, I mean, like Hannibal Lecter in Hannibal
Sure.
is the main protagonist of the story, and he's a bad guy.
But in the show, it's just so cool to watch him win.
So yeah, I'm throwing that out there as an option of like, okay, if it's a Spider-Man-less movie and you want to build up to a Sinister Six, then have a bad guy. Tell a story about a bad guy. If Kraven is just a bad guy, he's a mercenary for hire who is paid to do a good thing, but in the end he's like, no, I only helped you because you paid me. I'm done here, and they're paying me more. I'm going over here now.
I think, right, with that weird stinger of Morbius, I think they're basically making them good guys enough for their movies, but they are painting them all just bad enough that they can still go and fight Spider-Man, and in how and whenever that happens, they can fight him enough that that's interesting, and then some of them will be like, oh, I was in the wrong. And others will be like, will double down and be like, nah, I'm gonna get you, Spider-Man.
You know who's probably going to double down and then and try to get him? Green Goblin and Electro, but in the end he'll realize he was wrong all along.
Oh.
And Lizard could probably come around as well, and Sandman, he just wants to see his daughter.
Yeah.
And Doc Ock actually turned real quick. He was a good guy.
It's true. Yeah.
So. Should we do that?
He just needed the microchip.
Should we do that? Microchip? What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, sorry.
We're
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to immediately
yeah.
go, that's No Way Home, Jim.
Bad improv.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're at a crossroads here. We need a character. We need an approach to this. It appears Madam Web is doing characters, plural, this group of women who are going to take on Ezekiel, which disappointing to see Ezekiel be just the villain, because he's not a villain, just blanket, like just black and white a villain in the comics. He does set Peter up for failure to out of his own defense, but he comes around. He's not evil. He's just out for his own mean whatever. I'm just disappointed to see them use this character the way they're using it.
As a villain? We don't know that he's going to be evil.
Ew.
He's villainous.
He looks pretty
He's
villainous.
a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. Anyway, we need a character.
As these movies are kind of lining them up to be.
So here's what I like to do. I'm going to take our break right here. Let's rally.
Okay.
We have to come back with a strong pitch for a character or characters, plural, to be set in this Spunk universe.
Okay.
No, that was redundant. Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters universe. Spunk.
ATM machine.
That makes my skin crawl, Jim. You know it. Okay, we're gonna take a break here, and we'll come back with. We'll have something here. Okay, we're sort of all over the board right now.
Okay.
I don't have any. We don't have any.
Well, right. A couple times, both we've tried doing this. Let's recenter.
Yeah.
Which way do we want to approach? So you want to do a good guy?
I think so. Yeah.
You don't want to do another bad guy? Don't want to play into the spunk?
If it's going to be a bad guy, I want him to be a bad guy. I don't want to turn a bad guy into a hero.
Okay.
And that's what these other movies have failed in terms of what I'm expecting. And it's not fair. I'm just one person watching these movies. But Venom is a bad guy. I don't care that they made him a hero.
That's a decent example. And it's important to note then that character and those movies aren't speaking to you.
Yeah.
Because I actually feel, at least spiritually, right? Those movies captured the essence of what Venom fans like about Venom.
Sure.
It's about this alien that eats people and sees and is now here on Earth and sees things and learns like, oh, this is what being a good guy is like. And I kind of like doing that, but it's an alien thing, so it goes overboard in what being good is.
Sure, it's definitely overcompensating. Like, I killed a bad guy, right? But the thing is that the spine of this character is I hate Peter Parker, I hate Spider-Man. Let's get him. That's then.
So that's
taking that away.
That's
from
not
him,
what it is anymore. Even in the comics, that's not what Venom is anymore.
I know. That's me. I'm acknowledging that. And even Morbius isn't inherently a villain. He's sympathetic.
That's actually not how I first met Morbius.
Yeah,
I didn't meet him as a villain.
He's a doctor who's stuck.
He's a good guy vampire.
Yeah. Kraven is
Kraven's a bad guy.
A bad guy. So
that's why it's super weird to see them
hero fight.
Yeah. Which again, they're I think they're trying to walk the fine line of and I'm not terribly impressed by these movies, but I actually do think they are walking that line of these are protagonists, not heroes.
Then why are they?
Because you want to see heroes.
I guess.
You want to see heroes or bad guys. You don't want this weird
middle ground.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's it.
Maybe I don't know. Also,
I didn't like the first Venom. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's pretty good." I'm like, "No,
it's fine.
It was at best fine, but it was bad in comparison to all the other superhero stuff we've been getting, especially in the year that came out.
It was great for what
1996.
Was it 90?
It's an amazing 1996 movie.
I didn't think we went back that far. For 2004.
It's better than the Venom we got in Spider-Man 3.
It is. I think another thing that's happening over at Sony that's kind of going unsaid is they're trying to not do the villains that have been done.
Right, and that's why this list is worth reading.
Yes.
So these are the central rogues of Spider-Man, and the first one, haven't seen yet, Chameleon. We got him in name only in Spider-Man Far From Home. Vulture, Doc Ock, Sandman, Lizard, Electro, Mysterio, Green Goblin, Kraven. Here we go, another one. Beetle, which we put in ours.
Did we?
Yeah. That's the secondary
yeah,
antagonist.
that's right. Yeah.
Or the third tier. Scorpion, Spider Slayers, Rhino, Shocker, Kingpin, Prowler, Morbius, Hammerhead. There we go. Another one that hasn't been used. Jackal hasn't been used. Black Cat, Hydro Man, Hobgoblin, Tombstone. We've seen Venom, Carnage, and Mr. Negative. Those are the central villains of the Spider-Man mythology, and only 3 of them have yet to be utilized. Chameleon, Hydro Man, Beetle. We can't count ours.
Hammerhead,
and
Black
Jackal, Black Cat, Hobgoblin. Tombstone has been in the animated stuff.
Yeah, Tombstone was in Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, yeah. So are any of those worthy of centralizing as a character?
If Madam Web is, any of them.
Then any of them can be, yeah. All right, so it's a Chameleon movie where Aunt May is a spy with Richard and Mary Parker. Yeah. No.
So I don't mind going a hero route, doing one of the Spider People. Mm-hmm. There are many Spider People. It's a matter of choosing the right one. And even those are going to be, like, if we're wanting to stay away from the Spider People that are going to be in Madam Web, mm-hmm. Even though there's only, I think, 4 of them total, that somehow takes a lot of the potential Spider women and girls off the table.
Yeah.
As far as the Spider Men go, or I don't even know if has there ever been anyone called Spider Boy?
Yes, in the Amalgam universe, when they smashed Peter Parker and Superboy together, they created Spider Boy, and his web shooters were like little squirt guns. And he had, like
So actually, that is what's going to eliminate a lot of our potential Spider-Man characters. Is a lot of them are referential or variants, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we can't do a lot of those.
I'm beginning to see the problem Sony has had in trying to do this. This is a very uphill battle. If you can't use Spider-Man, mm-hmm. and you can't use the Into the Spider-Verse variants, mm-hmm. you are left with what you got left. And if you don't want to repeat villains that have already seen the light of day, you're going into C-list characters like mm-hmm. Madam Web,
yeah,
and turning Kraven into a hero. So I'm seeing the difficulty here. So then therein lies the question again of why aren't they just doing a Spider-Man movie? You don't know the answer?
I don't know the answer. It has to be rights. It has to be contractual.
Spider-Man has been lent to Marvel Studios by Sony to have live adaptations appear in the MCU, while Sony can do their own animated Spider-Man films and live-action one-offs of other characters, because Sony can't have their own Spider-Man. Because of this, Sony can't have... So
in the lending, they can't do Spider-Man while Marvel
is
renting it.
There it is.
Basically.
So it's as simple as that. We knew it was the rights issue, but it just comes down to, as long as the MCU is continuing to use Spider-Man, they can't.
Okay.
Wow. That is... Okay. We probably could assume that's what it was, but to see it so definitively put, thank you, Variety.com. So... Now we're back to the issue at hand.
Well, so where I start going with this is I'm thinking about this problem, and I'm wanting to invent a new thing rather than adapting something from the comics. Mm-hmm. So now where my mind is going is kind of weirdly lampshade. Not necessarily that Spider-Man's being rented to another universe. Mm-hmm. I'm going back sort of to the Spider-Man's... It's not that this universe never had a Spider-Man and Madam Web is doing this weird importing them thing.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is gone. Mm-hmm. Something has happened to Spider-Man. And for the point of our movie, we don't need to do like he's been gone or anything like that. Something happens in our movie. Spider-Man is gone. He's not responding. And so our characters, mm-hmm. Actually I'm thinking multiple, are like, oh no, Spider-Man's gone. The villains are starting to get brazen and they're doing stuff. No one's around to stop them. We need to stop them. And so we make a thing. I know it sort of already exists in ways. Make a movie. The movie would be called Spider Society.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's now it's a team of people who come together. They all don the mask in whatever variation they decide. and they go out to stop these villains.
I like where you're going here, and we can actually draw from some cinematic history here.
Okay.
The original draft of what would be Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, before we got what we got.
Okay.
The original draft was going to have Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus in it.
Ooh.
Okay. And Peter, as Spider-Man, was going to succeed in his entertainment career as Spider-Man. Where
he was going to do a full variation.
Merchandise was going to be made of Spider-Man, and that the final battle would come down to Peter getting punched around. Oh, and also he can't get any money for his rights. Like, Peter Parker's making zero money off of Spider-Man, and everyone else is. And in the final battle, he gets knocked into, like, a gift shop, pulls on one of the costumes, and then jumps out in the suit for the first time and fights Doc Ock. And
the last fight was going to be the first time in costume?
where he puts on the full actual Spider-Man costume for the first time. So, if we're existing with a bunch of characters who, like, Spider-Man has vanished and all the heroes are starting to run amok in New York City, and it's up to a group to be like, we should do something about this. The city needs heroes, and we can be those heroes. Are you thinking like a group of misfits who are a lot of passion? The Mystery Men. Are you pitching the Mystery Men to me?
Yes, I
You
am.
just pitched the Mystery Men to me.
Yes, I
and
did.
I'm okay with it.
Yes.
So, like 3, 4, 5 characters who are, dude, we got this. We don't even need to make this up. This has happened.
It has?
Yes. Oh my God. And it's an incredible miniseries run that led to a character that ended up in the Runaways that people are really a big fan of, Slingers. So,
I didn't know that.
Out of the wake of the death of Superman and the reign of the Supermen, there were 4 Supermen.
Yes.
Superboy, Steel.
When I suggested, I'm basically doing Death of Superman, Reign of Superman,
Eradicator,
with Spider-Man.
and Cyborg Superman. So in the wake of that, Marvel wanted to do something to capitalize on that.
Can't let them have all the attention.
So this is early 2000s, Spider-Man decides he can't be Spider-Man anymore, so he comes up with 4 different personas.
I do remember a bit of this. Yeah,
utilizing 4 of his power sets. He could fly, like he only used parts of his powers per suit to create 4 different characters. Ricochet is the one who ended up being in Runaways. After that run ended, those costumes went into storage, and then 4 kids came across that storage unit and those costumes, threw them on to have some fun, and the first time they're out trying these costumes out, Dusk is the girl who puts on she has like a black silky costume, falls off the roof and dies.
Oh God.
And the 3 characters are like, this never happened, go our separate ways, and they ditch the costumes, and she survives.
And that's the end of the entire run.
Yeah, she survives due to activating an X gene of sorts.
Okay.
And over the course of this miniseries, all these kids have to put the costumes back on in order to team up to then fight the villain in the end. But we're kind of in a realm that we could play in, the Spider Society or Slingers or however we want to call it, is 4 kids who throw on these 4 separate costumes to be heroes inspired by Spider-Man who is missing. So now we have source material to draw from for this.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
Sure. I don't know enough about these 4: Dusk, Hornet, Prodigy, and Ricochet.
Yes.
It looks like half of them are mutants.
So Dusk is, she's a mutant. She returns from the dead, and she has supernatural abilities.
That's
it's very
a cool power.
She has teleportation, and she's basically a shadow come to life. So it's similar to
oh no, she's not a mutant. It's supernatural abilities.
Yeah. Okay.
Manipulate shadows. So she's there's something else going on with her to begin with. Ricochet is a mutant.
Yeah.
A mutant with superhuman agility.
Yeah, so utilizing the jumping and springing around, and he also throws these little metal discs. He has a bandolier of these little discs that he whips around as his weapon of choice.
So my initial reaction is I'm not crazy about the idea of a bunch of teenagers finding some leftover Spider-Man gear. I could probably be convinced of it.
It doesn't necessarily have to be leftover
but-
Spider-Man gear, but we would rewrite this that these are the 4 personas that they don as D-O-N-E, don as heroes inspired by like Spider-Man is missing, and they're like,
Sure.
we'll be heroes. What's your persona? I'm going to be Ricochet. I'm going to be Hornet. Hornet's a cool character because he has like a powered armor suit. He has cerebral palsy as his just in his general life, and then when he puts on the suited armor, it enhances his strength and allows him like to use his full, like the gauntlets let him be his best self.
So my initial idea is, and maybe this would end up looking too much like Spider-Verse stuff. My idea was that they would all don their own sort of version of Spider-Man, not because the thing is these 4 heroes, it may all be Spider-Man tech, but they don't look like Spider-Man.
No.
They're 4 brand new heroes.
Right.
And if you'd rather go that direction, I can pivot that way. But I kind of liked the idea of just 4 New Yorkers take whatever Spider-Man
T-shirts and masks and so going back to that,
or making their own kind of costume and then cobbling together their gear, almost kick-ass in the with Spider-Man.
Okay, would they be bestowed with any powers?
I'm currently thinking no. If you want to go this route where they find tech, I could see pivoting that way.
Oh, okay. Let's combine here. If we start them out as cobbled together, kick-ass style heroes, in the end they would upgrade to these four outfits. And I'm not saying the finale. I'm saying if we want to create an opportunity to see these characters return, in the end, due to their victory, they get their 4 costumes that are the best versions of the stuff they cobbled together.
What would you think about introducing a 5th?
Go on.
Spider. SP//D.
Oh, one of the other Spider Girls, right?
That's a character. Well, Spider. So the character is originally from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And she drove around a spider mech, which had the personality of her dead uncle
Penny Parker.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yes. Okay.
I wouldn't want to. I'm thinking it wouldn't be Penny Parker. I'm thinking. What do you think about the idea of introducing a character that would have that? So like we have our 4 people who they're do-gooders, right? They're like, I want to do the right thing, and I'm going to be Spider-Man. I'm going to go out, and a 5th shows up, and it's this big robot Spider-Man.
Yes.
So that's this character, and so we go on a little adventure. We have our second act, and sort of the thing is, he reveals he's made out gear. He's made gear for the 4 others.
I'm audibly nodding. Having these 4 dunces out there just doing their best, and then a 5th, someone with money showing up and like, hey, I'm joining your club.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, what is this? You look way cooler than you. Like, I'm
an engineer over at Oscorp. In my free time, this is what I do.
I built this spider
the back
mech
closet of my apartment.
And she like creates the tech for them that then these 5 become the Spider Society within this universe that's missing Spider-Man.
Well, I initially called it Spider Society. You already found the name Slingers. We could go with Slingers. And that would be this story.
Hey, I would pitch the franchise on this, and my pitch would be Slingers, the Spider Society. So like the second movie could be called Slingers, something else, other subtitle. Meet the
Social Distortion. That's a band.
I think there's something here. Okay, so Spider-Man is missing. We don't. So these kids are inspired to be heroes. Power, responsibility. They get out there. They start do-gooding, and then Mech Suit shows up to like join the club.
Yep.
Clearly in another level than they are. And
probably
then
pulls their bacon out of a fire.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, who are you? I'm like, I'm one of you guys. This is fun. Like, but now we've introduced these characters. We got to give them a legitimate threat that is gonna like a real Spider-Man villain.
Sure. So my first thought is the 3 that haven't been used yet.
So there's only 3 to choose from: Chameleon, Hydro
it's
Man.
technically, actually, I think 4 or 5.
Chameleon,
Chameleon, Hydra-Man, Beetle,
Beetle,
Hammerhead,
Jackal,
and Black Cat.
Cat.
And Jackal.
And Hammerhead, the gangster. Well, Hammerhead would be fun to like as they level up to like bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to draw inspiration from like this threat is bigger than we thought with Polka Dot Man in Across the Spider-Verse, where it's like some loser who's a bigger threat. But if they start with street level and then piss off Hammerhead and then piss off a bigger threat, like they're working their way up the criminal ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing to stop us from like reinventing Jackal to be Kingpin level of threat or a Green Goblin level of threat.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, I mean, he was mentioned. Technically, Scorpion has appeared, but actually Scorpion has never appeared.
We've only seen Marco. Is that his name? No, that's we saw him. Yes.
It's a bit in Homecoming
Yes.
when Vulture's in prison.
Correct. He's got the scar on his face.
Yeah.
And, would you want to bring him in as?
It occurred to me there are a few more villains, that haven't really appeared. Rhino hasn't truly gotten his day on screen, but
What are you talking about? Rhino's had greatest thing on screen. Michael Mando is the guy who played Scorpion. He's from Better Call Saul, and he's excellent.
he is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to use him because that would be another reference back to the MCU, and I wouldn't, because then there would be this.
Oh, I know. who the
There
villain
would
should
be this need to explain how he is also here, because Vulture is also here, because we are plugging into a weirdly puzzled together shared.
We're drawing
world.
from like several places. Yeah. I think I know who might be worth bringing in if we're gonna start them street level and try to work them up to bigger and badder. Having Hammerhead be the the big threat that they start going
I need
after.
to look up Hammerhead. I'm just imagining a Hammerhead shark-headed
No,
guy.
he has. So Hammerhead has an adamantium skull.
Oh.
He has like his stupid hair. He's got a flat top that's adamantium.
Oh, that's stupid.
Right. So giving them.
Oh, the original version of him, he's flat top from Dick Tracy.
Yes. Yeah, but with a really hard head. Here's the thing: having him be the sort of like the boss fight that they're working their way up to.
Okay.
Okay, so they're cleaning up the streets. Hammerhead's like the notorious gangster that they want to take of. Maybe he even has someone like Jackal as his muscle. And we could do a live action Tombstone. Tombstone existed in Into the Spider-Verse, but we could go one up from there.
I like so. Depending on, I'm not sure where you're going to go here. I like the idea of Hammerhead being this, not a full crime boss. He's maybe a capo
Yes.
or just a shot caller.
That's where I'm going.
And so we can allude to a larger organized crime and not go there. We don't have to show Tombstone and Kingpin.
But we could allude to it.
Yeah.
But Hammerhead could be operating underneath the mafiosa crime boss of that they end up having to face, Mr. Negative. Of the pantheon of like the super Spider-Man, the Spider-Man villains. When you look at like the main villains, Mr. Negative is the newest addition to the group. He's a Chinese gangster human trafficker whose real name has never been revealed. He's just Mr. Negative, and he in the comic he was captured by Silvermane, who's the guy who funded the Spider Slayers, and he's like a test subject that was enhanced and gained superpowers that he can then, he has like super strength. He can heal with a touch. He can control minds. He has advanced technology and secret laboratories. He can switch between reversed and regular appearance. Like when he goes negative, he's literally like even his word bubbles are black word bubbles with white writing. And he can charge weapons, sort of Gambit style. So he has like an array of ass-kicking powers. Without being a world conqueror, he's just a very amped up super threat.
Okay.
And he wears a cool white suit.
All right.
Like a white suit with a black shirt and a white tie.
Does it reverse when he turns negative?
Yeah, he goes back and forth. Well, no, when he's in negative form, it's a white suit with a white tie and a black shirt. But he's
and when he's positive, it's a black suit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. just having it like, I'm negativing out, but he's having these kids like these with their cobbled together costumes going up against someone who's like in a real nice suit who can also blast them across the room. Now we have like a legitimately punchable threat.
Sure.
And so if he's
Yes,
Hammerhead's very
right.
punchable too.
And so is Scorpion and the other ones. But yes. Putting Mr. Negative at the top. The final boss, the big bad evil guy that they have to fight in the third act. Sure.
Yeah, and I believe he showed up in the video games. He's in, like, you can play him in, like, Marvel Strike Force and stuff like that, but he's in Spider-Man, the Insomniac Spider-Man. He's in it. He's voiced by Stephen O'Young. He's a boss fight in that Spider-Man game. So he's already in the public, like, he popping up, it wouldn't be like, who the hell is this guy?
Sure.
Your friend sitting next to you is go, he was in the game.
Oh, man. I don't think I know this Jackal character.
Oh, the Jackal?
Yeah.
He's, you want to throw him in the mix?
He looks more like a Green Goblin than most Green Goblins. No, I'm just looking up the other villains.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get how are you seeing this story going? We open with a bank robbery and some costumed villain getting away, and then the news covering it, and we meet at least one of our characters who's all like, "That's not right. I'm gonna do something.
I'm gonna do something about it."
Puts on a ski mask and goggles, and goes out.
Yeah, I think if we basically prologue it with crimes running rampant with Spider-Man missing, using our prologue to state this is a universe where the only superheroes are Spider-Man. This isn't the MCU where there's a plethora of them. There's a limited number of costume vigilantes out there, and the one costume vigilante that, like him or love him or hate him, is missing. Crime is kind of escalating here.
Sure. The Sony live action movies have pretty much alluded that Spider-Man is he's the only hero that has been referred to in even indirectly.
Mm-hmm. And so there's just this, people who go out there and fight like that like Spider-Man. We got to be like that. We got to make a difference. And I'm sick of seeing my town, my neighborhood, abused like this.
It starts with two friends. They're hearing this. They're talking each other up. They decide to go out. However that intro goes, right? They find out about the crime. They see the world. We meet them seeing the world, and they finally decide to answer the call.
Yeah.
Because where is Spider-Man? And they see it like one newspaper is all like, the city needs Spider-Man, and J. Jonah Jameson says Spider-Man's absence reveals his true motives, right? Something like that. So then these two friends decide to put on costumes and go out together to fight crime, and they get a police scanner to try to find where the crime is, and they race to get there. And when they do, we pick one of the characters that they're going to beat. But another Spider-Man also showed up.
Another kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you? No, you're not really him. Neither are you.
And so then either one or all four of them there, so that we get everyone together right away.
Yeah.
And so then sort of their little group grows, and then so either we do a montage of taking out like bodega robbers, or we jump to the next call that they answer, that they try to get there for. I don't know how far into the movie you are at this point, but it's more than they can handle. That's when Robo Spider shows up.
Penny Parker shows up, the Spider. I got a picture, sort of riffing on an idea you might have said earlier, but that they all present, like, Spider-Man's missing, and then they look, if we both do it, we can work together and basically make it look like it's one Spider-Man because they don't have superpowers.
I didn't say that. I was seeing them all in spider outfits.
Right. Are they all wearing different spider outfits? Because if what I'm suggesting is that if like Spider-Man singular is back, he's been doing all this when really it's 4 or 5 people out there doing it.
I'm thinking, imagine in a much basically imagine the beginning the parking structure scene of the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, yes, yeah, the Sons of Bat.
Yeah,
it's the
so they're dressing up as Batman, trying to be
pants.
Batman. They're not necessarily trying to like choreograph hiding their numbers.
Got it. Okay, good. Then thank you. You're right. I was heading that way, and I think it's better to just they go in there and like, who the heck are these people? God damn it!
Yeah, with the tools they have.
Yeah, and then they luck into actually making a difference, and thus piss off
the wrong people.
Hammerhead, and Hammerhead sends Jackal out, and they work their way up to and Hammerhead.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it would be. They basically interrupt some mob exchange, right? Yeah, probably something down on the docks. Some illicit goods are being exchanged for illicit money, and our characters show up and ruin it.
And then now they've pissed off the wrong people, and particularly because my neck's on the line because of what you dumb kids have done to me. You have no idea who I'm gonna have to deal with if I don't deal with you first. And
do a little like B plot for that, where the news is like some people in Spider-Man outfits have shown up, and J. Jonah Jameson, see the kind of vigilantism that the Spider-Man has inspired. I wish they'd all go away.
The world would be a better place.
Yeah.
Get me less pictures of Spider-Man.
And right, so now that makes the organized crime guy, whether it's Mr. Negative or Hammerhead or whoever, not only look bad, but like his bosses are like, not only did you fail at this, but these yahoos are the ones who did it. So now they have a very good reason to try to seek these people out, to stomp them out, make an example, and show that basically the idea of like Spider-Man's gone, and I'm really just kind of copying Kick-Ass. The villains, right? The whole point to destroying Kick-Ass on camera the way they did was to destroy the goodwill that he had been building.
Right.
And basically that's what Hammerhead here would want to do, is he would want to break the will of the city to let them know who's really in charge.
Well, I want to back that up just a little bit, because if Hammerhead's dealing at a lieutenant level, to have the first thing go wrong and we see a hand pick up a phone and call Hammerhead and be like, would you like to discuss what just happened here? Oh, sir, I'm sorry, I got it handled. I don't think you do have it handled. I'm going to send one of my men to help you. Sir, you don't have to do that. And then Mr. Negative is who I'm introducing real early, to then send Jackal, this freak, to show up and be like, the boss sent me I'm going to make sure you do your job right. And now we got 2 underling threats for these kids to fight with and essentially beat in order to force Mr. Negative to come down from his tower to say, like, when you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. I was like, we beat your hard-headed guy in a suit. We beat your weird freak in furry guy.
I think I'd rather go with Scorpion than Jackal.
And said, okay, yeah.
I just feel like Scorpion is easier to understand who he is and what he does.
He's got a suit with and actually
I got a poison tail. I'm gonna get you.
Having someone in a suit is helpful because we do have a mech, and we're eventually going to put our heroes in tech as well. And
the poison is very much a danger we can utilize.
Yes, good. I agree. Sorry, Jackal. Maybe next time.
We'll get you next time.
But having Mr. Negative come down and wipe the floor with them, bringing them to their lowest points, to then even like Hammerhead being like, "Oh, I'm glad you showed up," and be like, "Oh no, you're done. You failed me. I don't need you anymore." I'll either kill him or send him.
Really? Oh, okay.
Like, just for making Mr. Negative to make him that much bigger of a threat that he's a threat to everyone. He's not here to, oh, it's okay, Hammerhead, those kids kicked your ass. I'm suggesting put him at such a level that he would
that he would get rid of one of his own guys.
Yeah, for failing him that big. We don't have to go that route. These Sony movies.
My instinct to preserve characters.
Okay.
Is preventing me from being like, yeah. So that's all that's happening.
Just break his arms. I don't know. Scorpion, take care of him.
You're Hammerhead. You're not Hammer Arms.
Yeah. I'm just gonna write that dialogue real quick. Nailed it. Yeah, and so then they have to beat up superpowered Mr. Negative, who's really pissed off in the end.
Okay.
And then ultimately victorious, and Penny Parker says, "I built you all 4 costumes to utilize your strengths."
Oh, after they beat no, they need those suits to beat Negative.
Okay.
I'm actually thinking. So I'm not thinking. I wanted to invoke Penny Parker for like the spider suit.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be Penny Parker.
Okay.
Peter Parker is the only Parker. Well, I guess May Parker.
I understand. Yeah.
Is from this world. This is some other Tinkerer character. I didn't want to like.
The Tinkerer is a character.
It's another Gadgeteer character.
Okay, the Gadgeteer is.
There's no Gadgeteer.
Is there a Gadgeteer? He's an inspector.
Yeah. Yeah, you crazy kids.
You'll pay for this.
So my thought is, right? He maybe he even shows them the suits beforehand, or no, that would spoil too much. I was even thinking basically this character in the robot suit gets killed, by Mr. Negative, right?
Yeah.
In that encounter. So then they're all like, "What do? We can't fight the mob and stuff like that." And they go to the robot suit guy's hideout,
or whatever.
and like they see that this is what he's made for them.
Okay.
And that's how they level up. They don't have. I realized I was just all emotional about Hammerhead getting killed off, and I'm killing off hero characters. They don't have to necessarily die. But basically, I was thinking something like that second act, that down point for the heroes. That's where it's revealed. Hey, I got some upgrades for you.
Let me utilize your strengths. Then we got a cool training montage of them like trying out their new stuff and
get a montage.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, now we're ready to go into this fight. As far as the plot structure goes, I think those beats all pretty much work. Then it would be a matter of going into the characters individually and giving them arcs. So, like, I think still maintaining that Hornet has cerebral palsy and coming to terms, like, embracing and accepting who he is, whether he's inside or outside the suit. If I remember Slingers correctly, he essentially gets addicted to the suit because he feels so powerful in it.
Okay.
And has to come to terms with, like, you're still you, whether you have your full strength in your arm or not.
That feels like a second movie arc, based on where they get these suits.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that be here. I'm just saying that it's worth looking at who these characters are and
unless it's 5 acts, it doesn't matter.
I'm just pointing out that we have these characters to play with. We might as well put them on journeys, even if they're just small. Like Dusk as a character is the daughter of a criminal, so having her come to terms with that within the story as well, of like, oh, like if she's picked on at school because your dad's in prison, ha ha ha. Like, hey, we live in this town, half our families are in prison.
Sure.
Just giving her a little bit of an arc as well. Yeah, that's all. I'm not saying we have to hash out that right now. I just want to make sure all these characters go on a journey, particularly if we're going to start it with the two of them being like, hey, we're going to do this as a duo. We're going to be the dynamic duo out there fighting gangsters and stopping bodega robberies.
Okay, so just quickly scanning this, Hornet and Prodigy both go to Empire State University, so they can be the friends.
There you go.
Hornet and Prodigy. Eddie McDonough and Richie Gilmore.
Richie Gilmore, yep. Actually utilized Richie Gilmore in my Iron Man, I'll say it, my Iron Man fan fiction.
Nice.
Because Prodigy is essentially an Iron Man suit.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so it's I'm not saying we have to work out. Like I said, I'm not sitting here and like let's figure out all their, because Ricochet as well in Runaways is has like some connection, because I think all the Runaways are kids to villains. Like, they realize all their parents are supervillains
Yes,
in the MCU.
yeah. I don't remember. So I read the first few issues of of Runaways. I don't remember a Ricochet character. He might have joined them later.
Maybe. I have if someone out there is screaming at me, but I have a memory of him being part of the Runaways.
I'll believe you.
Good.
They're probably screaming at me.
Actually, you know what? In the long run, I might be confusing him with a different character, but he has like superhuman reflexes. So he's got.
So Ricochet, Johnny Gallo, or Gallo.
Gallo. Yeah.
Johnny's mother was murdered when Johnny was in his early teens. Much later, he discovered that her killer was Orphan Maker.
That's a great villain name. They call me Orphan Maker. I only kill people with children. Well, that's not very nice.
He joined the Los Angeles-based teenage superhero recovery group, Excelsior.
So, actually, I don't know if Ricochet's in and I'm like doubting myself that I even elicited the character, but he's got a great look. Okay. What else should... think of the grand scheme of things. If this was a movie that presented itself as the Spider Society, we get to see the blue and the red spider-esque costumes fighting bad guys and all leading up to a big punch 'em up at the end. A pretty low-stakes movie. But I think if it's approached with the... like, aimed towards... like what Into the Spider-Verse did. It's teenagers. It's not... they're not trying to appeal to adult superheroes. They are well, I mean, they go to Empire State University, so they're college students at the very least.
I'd prefer them to be the two friends, right? They're right, college age. Make them college age. I'd say make one younger in high school and one older. Either late 20s, early 30s, adult. And then our not Penny Parker can be older than that. They are the older sage.
The mentor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, what else to do with this movie? Do you think this is going to do?
I think the only other thing that I might want to include is at the end, after everything with the denouement of them sort of being the new heroes, get J. Jonah Jameson yelling their names. Get these vigilantes off the street.
Get these slingers.
And we see them going out and being cheered on by New York, but maybe they answer a call and they go to stop some villain, choose a random villain or something. Maybe that's where Jackal is.
Yeah.
And they show up to help out. There are other people who are also dressed as Spider-Man trying to do it as well, and like, we got you now, and they're like, thanks, yay! Ricochet.
Hey, remember my name. You got my name right. Okay, yeah.
Something like that.
Having a cool, like, fist pumping, and I think you eliciting Ms. Marvel initially, like earlier in our conversation here, of giving it that sort of energy.
Sorry. I initially dropped that.
No.
There's no energy. This is some dark Sony stuff. No, I'm joking.
God.
No, it can be lighter.
There is an underlying question that we're leaving on the table,
yeah,
which is potentially opening the door for wherever to go with these characters, or wherever we may need to go within the swamp, which is Spider-Man's missing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something we'll answer here.
No.
And because...
I wouldn't even want to refrain it too much. It's just to create the framework for these characters. It's to create a void for these characters to try to fill.
Yeah.
I would not, unless Sony was be like, oh, we really want you to explore the whole missing Spider-Man thing. I would want that to just be a factoid that is there, and we're just...
Well, I don't know how far away we can stray from it, because they are being inspired by him. Why are you doing this? Because Spider-Man's gone. Like, it is the reason that motivated them to do this in the first place. I'm not saying it's a main plot point to the point where it's like, this is the mystery that must be solved. But to just say, Spider-Man's missing, now we've been inspired, hero, the end. The fact that Spider-Man is gone is a plot point for the characters, for the city, for the villains.
I guess, sure. I would rather just set it up as the bit of premise and just let it hang and let Sony, if Sony wants to let us figure out what to do with it next, that's fine. If another filmmaker wants to address it, that's up to Sony to decide. I don't think that is a thing that would be brought up in this movie. I wouldn't want to end the movie with, but where's Spider-Man?
I would say that's like a credits stinger thing to be like,
okay,
it's not we can't ignore Spider-Man.
Yes, we can.
We can't. The characters literally dress up as him in order to do what they do. The fact that Spider-Man's missing,
sure,
is a fact in this story.
Yep,
and it's a fact that will come up in conversation more than once.
Mm-hmm. Oh, in the movie?
In the movie.
Oh.
Look,
I didn't plan on that.
Spider-Man we finally got rid of that stupid wall crawler, and now these people have been inspired by him to go out. This is why he was bad. Like, that sort of thing is going to be said.
Yeah.
All right, good.
No?
No, yeah. I feel like you were saying we shouldn't even say it once and never talk about it again.
I thought you were wanting to explore, well, where did he go?
No.
We need to find that out. Like, we need to somehow tease something about that.
It's the lingering question that kicks off. That's the catalyst for this entire story. These characters aren't going to try to find him. They're not trying to solve that mystery. But it's a mystery that has been presented in this film.
Oh, yeah.
That at the end, even if it's just in the post credits, to have some like Madam Web appear in the shadows and say like, "Where did he go? It's up to us to find him." Something like that. I'm just saying like, it's a question that starts the whole story.
I don't need that in a stinger. Even I don't need the movie to directly address that again. Like saying Spider-Man's missing, that's why we have to go out and stop crime. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd Spider-Man go? No one knows.
Right. But
if you want to put it in a stinger,
well, I'm just saying that
go ahead.
The audience is going to be asking.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's
great.
why I think we should throw him a bone at the end here. That's like,
let him go look for bones.
Okay, fine.
No?
No, fine.
Oh, no, go ahead. Make a stinger.
I did. I just did. I said it.
Madam Web does it?
Sure.
That movie's not going to be good.
Venom shows up. No, it's Toombs and Morbius again going.
There you
like,
go.
Still can't find that Spider-Man guy.
Can't find that
We're gonna find him though. I swear to God. Yeah, we are gonna find him shirtless. You're a weird guy. You're a weird guy, Michael. Yeah, there you go.
I would rather see for a stinger. I'd rather tease a different thing. I'd rather tease Kingpin or whoever is above Mr. Negative.
Yeah, we can't use Kingpin. MCU's got him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Tombstone.
Okay. I mean, Tombstone's a crony. Like, unless you want to reinvent the character, I see what you're saying. You want to. What's the next threat that these characters might face?
Yeah.
What's the bigger threat? If we have to franchise this, what's the hint at Thanos? Like, where is this ultimately going?
Because ultimately, I think if we put a stinger in there of where is Spider-Man, that is telling the audience to think about that question and that we are going to come back with answers. And Sony's never going to have an answer until they get the rights to Spider-Man back.
And there's that. We'll never know when that's going to happen. So yeah, if the question shouldn't for the next thing shouldn't be, then yeah, I'll bring Vulture and Morbius back to be like, let's get them instead.
Yeah. This Spider-Man thing's getting out of control.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Shirtless.
Man, there's no shirts, huh?
There's no shirts. What's your deal?
Would you like to borrow a shirt?
No, I'm fine.
I have some.
Shirtless. What's your deal? Are you are you a vampire? Like what?
Some sort of man bat?
Man bat. What was something that we didn't really discuss, but is worth mentioning here, is that the Sony movies, you kind of mentioned it, are very dark. Like they're very a lot of dark shadows, not a lot of bright sunshiny scenes in these movies.
I also think, and I feel like your proclivity is towards something more bright, especially for something like Spider-Man, and I get that. The reason I actually would even make this, what we just did, a bit darker, even with whatever hope we put in there, is to match the movies. And I think a major reason they are leaning toward that is, well, first of all, they started that way, but also Spider-Verse is covering the very bright, colorful hopeful stuff.
It does distinguish them from MCU.
That's another reason.
And it also, I keep jokingly saying all these movies feel like they're from the 90s because they feel like The Crow and Spawn.
they feel a little more mid-aughts to me. that very
Ghost Rider
steel
Yeah.
motif, cynical.
Ghost Rider, Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that era of comic book movie.
Yeah.
The pre-MCU comic book movie, not Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
Even Batman was kind of the Nolan stuff
Mm-hmm.
was very good, but it had that brutalistic
Steel,
color palette.
The dark. I exist for the shadows.
Yeah, he is the Dark Knight.
Yeah. So you're right. Tonally, I think, given that if that edict was like it needs to fit in the Sony movie, sure, we go a little bit darker with this. I would want to push it more towards the colorful fun, because I think that would appeal to a wider audience. I think having teenagers or early 20-somethings in colorful costumes fighting supervillains. Okay, you sneered.
Sorry, I'm
not
sorry.
painting
It was
Power
a
Rangers over.
reflex. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. There is a fun to that. I guess I think about when I was a teenager and even early 20s, the kind of stuff I liked. Granted, that was in the late 90s and early 2000s, so I very much was into that dark, gritty, kind of realistic stuff. So that is where like
I'll meet you
at
halfway.
the same time, I really liked Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which was very four-color, bold.
Yeah, I'll meet you
looking.
halfway. Hawkeye, the series.
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye, the series.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
That's the level of dark, while still maintaining the fun that I would try to pitch for something like this.
the movie I keep thinking of, and this is going to make you think, what? That's not dark at all, Jim. But I keep thinking Shazam, which didn't do
That's
well,
not
so
dark
no one
at
wants
all.
to.
That's not dark at all, Jim.
So the reason I say that, the reason I think that is because it's couched in Snyder's DC universe. And for me, while I was watching those movies, no matter how bright and fun and light they were, there was sort of always that cloud of, this is the same world as Man of Steel and BVS.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
I guess the way I'd want to approach sort of the tone, I actually would make it as dark as the other Sony movies, and these characters are the ones who are rejecting that. They're saying, no, we need hope. We had hope and it's gone. We're going to be the hope.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
that's how I would kind of want to frame that.
Well, yeah, I can sign off for that. Instead of,
and you could even light it and eventually color it that way, where these characters sort of become those beacons.
Brighton. Yeah, more like to not to evoke DC, but to evoke existing content is the I shouldn't call it the existing property is the Amazing Spider-Man. That had the That's
those were pretty dark too.
yeah. Probably in that. I can meet you halfway on that.
Okay.
Everything looks like it's been sprayed by a fire hose before they started filming.
Yeah.
But that's going to have to do it for this episode. Jim, any final thoughts as we walk away from here?
Yeah, we should have done Scarlet Spider.
Oh, God. So we're going to listen, the Clone Saga. Bring up the wiki. We're going to read that as our bonus content today. So
Well, because it just occurred to me he's a clone. What a cheap but should be legal way of getting Spider-Man.
It's not Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's missing. Someone's cloned him.
It's Scarlet Spider.
Yeah. When Peter Parker temporarily left the Spider-Man role, Ben became the new... That's perfect! Because if Peter Parker's missing, if Spider-Man's missing, our clone of him would step in. Anyway, Ben became the new Spider-Man while wearing a new costume variation designed by artist Mark Bagley. However, Riley dies at the hands of Norman Osborn / Green Goblin, sacrificing himself to save Parker, who then resumes the Spider-Man role. That doesn't match up with what we're doing. That doesn't match up at all. In 2017's Dead No More, the Clone Conspiracy story, the character is revealed to be alive.
Dun, dun, dun.
His mind forcibly transferred to new clone bodies by the Jackal repeatedly before his resurrection was successful. Driven mad by the experience of being reborn and dying repeatedly, he became the new Jackal and started his own criminal enterprise. Oh, he's a bad guy now.
Oh, no.
After being defeated by Spider-Man and others, Riley reclaims his Scarlet Spider identity in the series Ben Riley, the Scarlet Spider. Reimagined as an anti-hero, he first hopes to escape his past, then embarks on a spiritual quest to redeem himself. This arc is completed in Spider-Geddon 2018.
Spider-Geddon!
Right, we could name the movie that. During which he sacrifices himself to protect others when his life force is absorbed by an enemy who inadvertently absorbs his many death traumas as well. Ben is then resurrected in a new clone body, his mind and soul healed and restored. So, reading more about that, if I wanted to cleave closer to the Scarlet Spider story, that might be Spider Society's second movie villain. Is Scarlet Spider and Jackal, and I would want to do a thing where this is happening. Scarlet Spider is made by the Jackal, and the Scarlet Spider is basically going crazy, like he's mad, and we find out that this has happened a number of times, and every time Scarlet Spider goes so crazy, he kills Jackal and becomes Jackal, makes a new version of himself, and it starts all over. And this has happened a handful of times. We don't have to say how many times.
Enough times that
Several
Lady
times.
Death is totally into it.
I don't know if I want to bring Lady Death into this. But this time, once Spider Society gets involved, they're able to talk this Scarlet Spider down, and they're able to help him heal to stop the vicious cycle, and they together defeat Jackal.
Yeah.
So there you go. Bonus content, 5 minutes, I wrote you a sequel.
Write this man a check. As we did this, I realized how difficult this is. I actually feel like I think Sony deserves a little bit more of my respect for what they've managed to even pull off with this.
Sure.
With these clear demands. I wonder if we could even get away with ours for how referential we are to Spider-Man.
It sounds like the rule is they can't put Spider-Man on the screen.
Yeah.
It can't be Spider-Man, which is why all the characters start in like knockoff costumes.
Right.
And then initially I was all like, these Slinger costumes look really lame and they're barely related to Spider-Man at all. But the more I think about it, that's actually good, and they can also be redesigned for a live-action modern audience.
Right.
So I liked it more and more, and I actually, to pat ourselves on the back, I actually think Spider-Man is Missing is the perfect way to just relieve some of this pressure of, how are you doing Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movies? Where is this guy? We want to see him.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
How long is he? Well, where is he? We want to know. And as long as the movies don't pursue the answer, you can kind of defer that, not necessarily indefinitely,
But you can keep moving it down.
Yeah.
As long as it's like Thanos being introduced at the end of the first Avengers movie, and then it took nearly 10 years to get to him. As long as you leave enough crumbs leading that way, Sony could take as long as they wanted to.
And if they have the ability to bring in, they clearly have the ability to bring in most other Spider characters.
Yeah.
There's enough other ones that I think you can satisfy a lot of the hunger for Spider-Man. I like because doing that notion of a sequel with Scarlet Spider. Like, I like the idea of alluding to a fight that Jackal had with Spider-Man before he disappeared.
And stole
he has
his
DNA.
cells, yeah.
And so he's going to clone him. Initially, maybe it even plays into a little bit of what Mr. Negative or Hammerhead, that whole thing was saying about, like, we need to break this whole hope and inspiration thing now. Jackal was the same thing. I'm going to make Spider-Man and use Spider-Man against the city. I'm going to make him bad.
I was right all along.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn you, Jonah.
So yeah, building and not just these pseudo villain characters, these villainous protagonists. Because it's such a thin line to walk.
Yeah. I'm here's a pitch then. The Amazing Spider-Man returns, and then even if it's 15 years from now, you could Andrew Garfield comes back and he's like, I was what we did with our Amazing.
Yeah.
I just got back from a trip to the multiverse. It took me a long time to get back here.
Sure. Oh yeah, you could. I was even thinking it doesn't even have to be multiversal. He could have just gotten rocketed to space by some space being who wanted to put him in a giant fight on a planet called Battle Planet, or
Nice.
I don't know.
Lady Death and him.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, Lady Death was all like, "What? Why aren't you killing more people?"
Why don't you do me a favor and kill some more people for me, Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Can you do that for me, Spider-Man?
We got some good bits here.
I think so too. I just hope the listeners think so as well.
I also hope that. I hope Sony is listening.
Sony, thank you for subscribing.
Yes.
Now we know where they get all their ideas
Yeah,
from.
that's true.
Listening to podcasts. If only.
Yeah. They're not even doing that anymore. They're just going to AI. ChatGPT, write me a Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movie.
Okay, Sony. Here you go. Beep boop beep boop boop beep boop.
Rhino robs the bank and then wham, gets knocked out of the vault by a being where Spider-Man should have been. It literally just makes the movie and erases Spider-Man out of it.
Okay, a Spider-Man-less Sony movie. This I don't see any reason why this can't work within the frame that of the movies that already exist and are coming. So, Madam Web, and then Kraven, and a Venom 3, and Deadpool 3. Does Deadpool gonna have any? Is he allowed to play within the Sonyverse?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So, thinking about the other Spunk movies, this one so far I think most directly addresses the Spider-Man question. Clearly, Madam Web is gonna. I don't know if they're gonna say Spider-Man or anything like that, but there are characters that have like full-on costumes that look like Spider-Man. Are they? Do you think that when they finally do Spider-Man, they're going to try to say that Spider-Man's inspired by these characters?
Yes, because Adam Scott is in Madam Web.
Okay.
And he is playing a character named, let me see if I got this right, Ben Parker.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I hate it.
Yeah, I know. So.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think this.
If I had known that, I would have approached this differently.
Okay, well, you wanna rally.
I wouldn't have embraced the whole Spider-Man already exists thing.
Okay. Because our premise would have to exist in the modern era, and by having Adam Scott play Ben Parker, it's suggesting that Madam Web takes place 20 years ago. Or
you
more.
think this is a period piece?
Oh, he's either Ben Parker, Peter Parker's uncle, or he's Ben Reilly, which is Scarlet Spider, which is a clone of Peter Parker.
But then he would be Ben Reilly and not Ben Parker.
These movies haven't been notoriously accurate. The fact that Ben Parker is in Madam Web is a very curious thing.
It is a very curious thing. What?
What are they doing?
I don't even know. I don't even know how to end this episode now.
Well, I will take care of this. We will end it here. So I ask Mr. or Ms. I ask AA Friction.
Executive AA Friction.
Executive AA Friction. Thank you for speaking with Sony on our behalf.
Yes, we very much appreciate
We need
that.
to know if we managed to craft a...
Did they have a studio of their own? Or
yeah,
was
it was Kinetic Energy Pictures.
Kinetic Energy Pictures.
Yeah. Friction, Kinetic Energy,
yeah,
I think, going toe-and-toe here. All right, well, AA Friction, how'd we do? Did we meet your demand? And those listening, what did you scream at us while we were talking here? I know Ricochet wasn't
Lots
in
of
Runaways. I'm gonna have to Google it after the fact. Ricochet, I know he wasn't in Runaways. You Runaway fans out there right now are mad at me. I'm sorry. But
there was even a TV show.
I didn't watch it. I'm sorry. There's too much to watch, Jim. I'm gonna add it to my list right under The Wire. Okay, but we're gonna end here. But please, we need to know if we got this or not. Agree or disagree. Sony, obviously, we need to know what you think. If you're gonna greenlight this, whatever, you can message us directly at studiodemandsit.com. You can get us at Instagram at studiodemandsit. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to us on any podcast player of your choice. And if you feel like giving us a review, that don't hurt nothing. In fact, it's very helpful. If you, even if you want to do 1 star, that's fine. But 5 don't hurt nothing either.
Yeah.
You could just go on and be like, these guys are good. Anyway, helps us with the algorithm. You can find us on YouTube and TikTok, where we post video content, including material not heard here on the show. And if you want even more of us, we have a Patreon for a couple bucks a month. Couple bucks a month.
Couple
bucks a month.
Buck a month.
Couple buck a months. You can get extended episodes. You can get the episodes early. We have movie commentary tracks. And you can also message us directly there as well if you want to chat with us. And by those means, a massive thank you to 6'5 Media for everything they do for us. Please check out the other 6'5 shows, because they are our family, and we are as proud of them as they are of us.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. I'm TC.
Jim.
And we're going to go.
This is Benjamin Ben Riley.
We're going to read the Clone Saga off of Wikipedia now. All right. Goodbye, everyone. It looks good on the page. I can't imagine it looking good in execution in real life.
Oh, we can make it look cool. I was reminded of it because I was looking at Ricochet's Wikipedia page, and he apparently had an encounters with Scarlet Spider.
Hey, I copied Spider-Man too.